Hello and welcome back to another episode of Charla Football. I'm your host, as always, Jerry, accompanied by Tomas. Of course, this summer we have to talk about all the transfers that's been going down. So we're gonna play a little game, but before we get into it, Tomas, how you doing on this lovely night, bro?
Just doing fine right here, chilling on this Wednesday night right here in the office. So I'm ready to get right into it.
All right, let's get into it. So we got to talk about our top 10 favorite transfers in this window. We're going to do five each. So give me your five, then I'll give you my five. And then we're going to rank them from 10 being the worst, one being the best. And then we're going to talk about the best team that has had the team that had the best transfer window so far. Obviously, the transfer window is not over. I think we still have a couple weeks, I believe, till it's over. So anything can happen. But I mean, we need content for this week. So why not? Let's get right into it. And there's been some good ones that have come out. So, Tomas, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, then. So you're going to be going first. Right before we get into it, make sure you guys follow Charla Football on Instagram, TikTok, all social media platforms, YouTube and Spotify. Make sure you support your small creators because together we're going to make it big. Our personals will be down below as well. But take it away, bro.
So I didn't really focus on the big signings. I just kind of focused on who I think is the most exciting for their club.
Mhm.
And for that, I picked West to Copenhagen. I mean, there's already Copenhagen fans wearing the jersey. After 2 to 3 games, they know how good he is. They see his quality. So for me, West is one of those big transfers that are gonna get a lot of love in his club by the
Yeah.
fans. And I
I
believe
saw,
that also Savio the City as well will be another player that gets a lot of love. Douglas Luiz to Juventus. I think that Juventus have gone through a bad time, and this is one of those signings that maybe they're not so attractive, but they need experience, and Douglas Luiz can provide that.
mhm.
No, from Paul Victor. I mean, from the little that I've seen this guy play, I say that he's very frequent. He's always and he's good. He's a very decent player, and that's what Barcelona needs consistency because they've had times where they're the best team for 6, 7 games, and then they just completely fall off the map. And so I feel like a player like that could definitely bring it. Yes, he is young, but he can always add something into the team. And then Enrique to Madrid, I think is exciting because although we're probably not going to see him to play Champions League or see him play or ball up, he could be like this season's out of that Gullit, like who he was last season, scoring 7 goals in 7 games, something like
Mhm.
that.
Like an impact sub type of thing.
Like an impact sub, yeah.
Out of those five, which one's your favorite?
I'd say West Coast to Copenhagen. I mean, he's already getting so much love, and I mean that is the ones that I followed the best. West Coast
Mhm.
to Copenhagen, and I mean,
I
just everything
literally,
that he's had so far
I
is
saw.
insane.
My bad, I was gonna cut you off real quick, but I saw a video of uh, a fan, a Danish fan. He had his jersey on, and he was saying like, "Shout out to Westcast" or something. He was screaming something to the camera, and he was like, "Oh, he's our best player. He's gonna be our best player. He's a great player." Blah blah blah. And you can already tell he's already getting love out there in Denmark.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you're a quality player. I mean, Denmark
He has
maybe
something like
is
3 assists already or something like that in the first
yeah,
two
like
games.
3 assists. He already has a goal. I know he has a goal scored somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was offside though.
I think it might have been outside.
Yeah, but it was banger though. It doesn't matter. Out
It was
that
a
was
banger.
confidence like through the roof.
Yeah, so I mean, just to get that so early on is insane. He did get injured today. They still haven't showed how difficult it will be to recover or how long it will be.
Mhm.
So because they don't know the exact injury that he has right now, they probably do by now, but they haven't let it out. And I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. But I think he's going to be a great, one of those great signings for this club.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of my favorite signings as well. It sucks that Cruz Azul made it so hard for him to get out. I think they're still like trying to take him
He,
to court with the way
he,
he made it out to Copenhagen.
he's
But
still he's the thing is that he's technically still getting sued.
hmm,
But Cruz Azul is the even though Cruz Azul is the one doing the suing, they ask for more time to collect more evidence, which really just shows you how poorly they're managing everything.
no, it's so sad to see. Like, why don't you want to let one of your young prospects out, explore the world firstly, but then also like that your national team is struggling and they need quality players to play in Europe and gain some experience, and that's the perfect way. Copenhagen may not be the biggest team in the world, but they are a popular team. They play Champions League regularly. Maybe not this season, but they're gonna fight for it. And like a lot of the big teams in Europe pay attention to a team like Copenhagen. I mean, if you look at the likes of who's the Manchester United striker, Rasmus Højlund, he played at Copenhagen too. I think his brother plays at
Yeah,
Copenhagen. Now everybody pays attention to these kind of teams, so it'd be the perfect way to just get a step into, I guess, then step into the right direction.
yeah,
But
because
I like that as your favorite.
if we look on difficulty, the Liga MX is probably there's like 2 or 3 clubs that could probably win the Danish league, and so on difficulty, maybe it's not the hardest or the most difficult to win. Maybe the weather would be the most difficult, but the thing is that it gets you that European exposure. Like this is a club where maybe it's not more difficult or has the name of a big club like the Prem, like La Liga, but competing against those clubs, it gets you that exposure to where you could maybe make the next step, take the
Mm.
next step. Maybe you have a good performance versus I don't know Valencia or Villarreal in Conference League, and
Then they buy you next season, bro, or in 2 seasons.
maybe they'll or maybe like Real Madrid has their eye on you because you played so well versus them. Or either way, there's millions of possibilities, but just being in Europe is it gets you to show your talent a lot more.
Completely agree. I think that's definitely a good signing, specifically if we're trying to be a little Mexican national team biased. But I think it's gonna be an incredible one for I want to look out for moving forward. Now I'm gonna give my five, and then we'll start ranking them between us on which one's the worst to the best out of our 10 so far. So I'm gonna start with Lenormand to Atleti. So the Real Sociedad center back started surprisingly at the Euros, and I mean you can't really say much. I mean, he's a Euro winning center back, one of the best defenses in the Euros as well. And he played at Real Sociedad, who had an incredible start to the season. Towards the end, like typical Real Sociedad fashion, they start to die down. But they were putting up good numbers in the beginning. They made an interesting run in the Champions League, getting knocked out by PSG. But I mean, he's a class defender, and I think he's a left-footed defender, so it's going to be perfect for Atleti because I think they just let go of two very important veterans in I think it was Savage and Mario Hermoso. So they definitely needed a world class defender, and Lenormand is that, or possibly can be that. I wouldn't say he's world class just yet, but he can definitely make his way up there. So Lenormand to Atleti, I think, is a great move. Nicholas Fulkrug to West Ham. That one was interesting. I didn't expect it because Borussia Dortmund are a Champions League runner-up. They just faced off against Real Madrid just a couple months ago, and Nicholas Fulkrug was vital in that role. Was vital as the nine. He's like one of those natural number nines that we don't really get to see too often. He's stocky, but he's strong. He can hold up the ball well, great technically, and he has a fucking cracker of a shot, bro. But to see him to go to West Ham, who right now is technically a mid-table club. Sorry, got my tongue stuck a little bit right there. But yeah, they're not definitely fighting for the Champions League. They're not going to be fighting for even Europa League. I don't believe they made it into the top 7 this year, but I might have to get fact checked on that one, bro. I don't know if you know.
I'm not sure.
But Fulkrug, I think, is an interesting one because it's going to help them push their European ambition just a little bit more. I don't think it makes them title contenders for the Prem, like by any stretch of the imagination, because there's so many good teams in the Premier League. But at West Ham, I think they definitely need a striker because Mikael Antonio, he's not a natural striker. And then I think they got one other player, Guido Rodriguez. I'm not gonna say that he's not in my top 5, but I think those two profiles in your system, along with some of the players that they have, like Edson Alvarez as the 6 as well, it definitely helps boost them just a little bit to fight for European competitions for sure moving forward. And
I
the one
mean,
that no, what's up? My bad.
no, I mean West Ham shown they were class last season. Maybe they didn't get the best result that they wanted,
Mhm.
but they're definitely a class side. Now with this signing, maybe it puts more goals in the back of the net because they defend very well. There was a couple of games where they go down 1-0, 2-1, and having a striker like Fulkrug can definitely help that. So I think this is a great signing, probably the most needed signing.
Yeah, for sure. The most needed because I'm looking right now on FootMob. They made it to ninth place last year. They were under Manchester, under Newcastle, Chelsea were the ones that finished in the conference. the Conference League spot, I believe. And so they definitely don't have any European competitions this season. So they're going to be fighting for that, and they need someone like Nicholas Fulkrug to be banging in goals because they really don't have a striker that's prolific. And Fulkrug, I think, is perfect. Um, Now I'm going to go to my third one, Mbappe to Madrid, the one that we all know, but he finally became official. He had his presentation and everything. He's training. I think today he had his first official training with everybody, with the likes of Bellingham. There was pictures of him, Bellingham, Carvajal, Chouameni, all of them. So it's good to see him, firstly, to be in the Madrid colors, because I mean we've known this drama, this fairy tale for him, that he's been wanting to be a part of this team for years, probably since he was a kid. So I think that's a definitely an interesting signing and one to look out for. I think it's going to make La Liga a lot more attractive because they have a lot of good signings coming into the league this year. So I think there will be a lot more eyes on the league. But for sure, Mbappe, I mean, he's one of the best players in the world. While he didn't have a spectacular Euros, I think there's still something that he's going to try to prove, especially coming to Madrid. So we'll see how he shapes up in Carlo Ancelotti's system, whether he plays 9, whether he goes more on the left, whether the 3 up top, they start moving or interchanging throughout the games. But I think it's a really good signing just overall for, PR, publicity. And I mean, he's one of the best players in the world. So definitely top one. One of my favorite ones has to be Olmo to Barcelona, just because Olmo, he had a spectacular Euro campaign. He came on for an injured Pedri, who Pedri was the starter naturally because he's a talented player, but Olmo took on that role when he got injured, and I mean he played just such a vital role for Spain. I think he even scored in the semifinal right against France. He had that where he dunked on Chouameni basically, and I think is an underrated signing for Barcelona. I don't think it's a signing that Barcelona necessarily needed, and that's mainly some of the hate that's going out in social media right now, is that you have a lot of advanced midfielders, a lot of tens, necessarily like you got the likes of Pedri, you got Fermin Lopez, you got Gundogan, all players that play closer to the box, that are all threatening, like near the goal, and almost just like them as well. So you're adding kind of like a fourth profile there. But to
which
be
is
fair,
which is what I don't understand, because Hansi Flick said that his priority was forwards, and he went out and got another midfielder.
mhm.
So if he's telling the people the priority is getting a forward or a winger, and he goes after another cam, essentially, is he even in charge of the transfers? Are they bringing him the players that he wants, or are they just bringing the players that they think will fit this profile, which they already have so many players of? So yeah, essentially, I mean, he said that he wanted more forwards or a winger, which is why there was that thing with Nico Williams. And essentially, he actually said that there was going to be no more midfielders in Barcelona, and they went out and they bought one. So is Hansi Flick in control of the players which are arriving? It looks like they're not.
Yeah. The thing
So
about Dani Olmo, what I like is that he is versatile. He's not. I mean, he is pretty familiar with the left wing position, although it's not his best position. Everyone knows that him advanced, close, and in the middle is probably his best position, as we saw with Spain in the Euros. But I guess we'll see what happens. And then lastly, Julian Alvarez to Atleti. I think this is like the biggest shocker that we've got in this transfer window, really, and it's the biggest one because of how expensive the signing was. It was like what, over 94 million euros or pounds for the signing to go down,
yeah,
something like.
it's like record breaking for not being a starter. Because if
Because he is just a role player. I wouldn't say he's a bench player because he did get a lot of minutes, but he is a role player. He's not a starter.
yeah, he's like he rotates in
Yeah, but
or
I like this
playing.
signing because Atleti needed a striker, a young one, because Morata is not getting any younger. He was good last season for Atletico Madrid, but towards the end, his form started to dip. That's why Depay started to get more minutes. But Julian Alvarez, he is very consistent, although didn't have the best Copa America, but it's only because Lautaro Martinez is in front of him, and he's having probably one of his best seasons, Balón de Oro seasons. Uh, but going back to Julian Alvarez, I mean, he's a crack, bro. I mean, he's still young. He's like what, 23, 24, 23.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I feel like he's probably tired of winning trophies. He just wants playing time at this point. I mean, he's won everything there is practically to football.
yeah, there's not much else he can win. It's a different challenge, to go to Atleti, who is a historic club within Spain, and they've always fought trying to get to the Champions League, trying to win the Champions League, but they've always fallen short. But I think what Atleti are doing this transfer window are definitely going to help them in that European competition for sure, and maybe even challenge for all three fronts: Copa del Rey, La Liga, and Champions League. So I think it's a very interesting signing. It's a great one for Atletico. It's a great one for Julian Alvarez because he's going to get more of that protagonist role to be the number one starter and not playing a role or playing or coming in on the bench, because I mean we saw the numbers that he put in last season. It was double
Yeah,
digits, right? I forgot
yeah,
exactly what number, but it was double digits, both goals and assists. So he definitely needs some more time, and he deserves it. I think ultimately he deserves it, and I'm glad that Manchester City didn't really make it a hassle for him to leave.
yeah. I mean, if we look at it, well, the thing with this now, let's go into a little bit about Atletico Madrid. Yes, they're a historic club, but in all ways, this is a downgrade. Going from Manchester City, a team that's been, I mean, just always
Dominating.
there in the Champions League. Julian Alvarez is one of his motivations was his wife asking, I don't know if it was his wife or his girlfriend asking to move to a warmer climate. Like we're used to over here in the Americas. It's a lot warmer as it is in Spain. So essentially, his basis was to be more acclimated with the culture.
Mhm.
Obviously, Julian Alvarez being a Spanish speaker, and Spain obviously being a Spanish speaking
Nice.
country as well. So I mean, it's a downgrade, but he's moving into a more comfortable zone. So let's see how it works for him. Maybe he could be the first player to ever bring Atletico Madrid a Champions League in this century.
That'd be crazy to see. I mean, we'll see what happens. That's why I think that's one of my favorite signings so far because it's good on both parties. You know, like I do agree where it is a downgrade. If you stayed at City, you'd probably win way more trophies, but you would have to play that
Yeah, I
role
mean,
player.
thinking about
un-
it, like us, like as Hispanics, if we're in a country, where it's constantly being spoken English, obviously we were born in the States, so maybe it wouldn't be that much of a hassle to us. But the weather, I mean, we were in London for a bit. The weather kind of gets old. It kind of gets
mm,
like mellow.
mm,
I'd rather move to a place that gets what was
more
like
so.
250, yeah, like Barcelona or Madrid, where it gets like 250 days of sun a year.
Mhm.
But, I mean, that's just my
I mean,
opinion.
you can't complain living in a city like Madrid for sure.
Yeah,
So Julian Alvarez, a great move to Atleti. Atleti, great move for them as well. So those are my top five. Tomas, you give me your top fives. Now let's rank them from 1 to 10. 10 being the worst. Obviously, all these signings are good in our eyes, but we're gonna say which ones are worst. We can debate it if you want to, and then one being the best. So at number 10, who do you want to put there, bro?
I'd put number 10. I put Endrick to Madrid.
Hendrick to Madrid.
Yeah,
I'm gonna agree with that one, only because of what we've seen in the preseason so far, and I haven't been impressed.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I know it's a lot of pressure playing for Real Madrid, and it's not easy because I think he is still pretty young. He's only 17 years old, so
yeah.
it'd
I
be
mean,
pretty unfair to start judging him already based on just preseason friendlies. Um, but I don't think it's a signing that Madrid needed, given all the forwards that they already have. And Endrick could have gone to maybe a mid-table team or just somewhere where there's not so much competition up front, honestly, and it would
Atletico Madrid, to be honest.
yeah, play as a role player for under
Yeah,
Julian
Atletico
Alvarez.
Madrid, yeah. Under Julian Alvarez would be nice, but I mean under Real Madrid, there's Mbappe, and then they'd rather. I'm pretty sure Ancelotti would rather use Bellingham as a false nine before he goes to Endrick, at
Mm,
least in an important match.
for sure. So I'm gonna even write that down right here. I'm gonna put Endrick. I agree with that one. Endrick to Madrid. Now at number 9, who do you think goes there?
I
I'm
think
gonna-
9 would probably be. I'm
I'm
gonna
I'm
go
gonna
with Paul Victor, just because he's really young. He doesn't have like that trajectory as a player would right now.
hmm,
Like well,
I'm
the other
kind
players would.
of disagree. I'm kind of only gonna disagree just because I think West Coast to Copenhagen isn't gonna be all that. It's not gonna push Copenhagen to be a better team in the Danish league. And I mean, this is more of just a stepping stone for Wescas, but that's just my opinion.
I feel like West will have a bigger impact in Copenhagen than Paul Victor will have at Barcelona.
Really, but bro, I mean, I know we can't judge off of just preseason friendlies, but he's already scored 3 goals and had 2 assists in just 2 games or three
The
games in
thing is, like, who is Paul Victor gonna play against? He's gonna play Madrid. He's gonna play Champions League, right? He's
Mhm,
playing
mhm.
Champions League. You're not gonna see him perform this season. Maybe in 2, 3, 4 seasons you'll see him perform, but he's not
I
gonna
don't know.
perform right out of that. Are
He
you? Do
came.
you even think he will start? Because Weska is already starting.
That's the tough part because I don't know if he's gonna start over Lewandowski. Even though I feel like someone like Paul Victor deserves it based off just the preseason that we've seen, but I don't think Hansi Flick will drop his man because Robert Lewandowski is his guy. So I don't think he's gonna drop him just like that.
So I mean, that's just for me. Like I feel like Weska will have more playing time. Will be able to provide more of an impact for Copenhagen. I'm not saying Weska is better than Paul Victor. I feel like it's two different positions. You can't even compare them.
Mhm.
But I just feel like Weska will be more of an impact for Copenhagen than Paul Victor will be for Barcelona, and I don't think that's crazy to say because Weska will probably get more playing time.
What about the likes of Douglas Luis to Juventus, for example?
I
I
mean,
don't.
Douglas Luiz, he's an experienced player. I think. I mean,
But he's nothing crazy. I want to
he's
say is
nothing
like
crazy. Yeah, he isn't anything crazy.
he's not gonna make Juventus better for sure. Juventus have had a lot of problems throughout the past years, and I don't think his signing is gonna make Juventus better or it's gonna make Douglas Luis any better as well.
I mean,
How about we
you
end
know,
with
I'll go with Douglas Luiz at 9. To be honest, Douglas
all
Luiz
right,
at 9.
and then I can agree with you on number 8, maybe for Pau Victor for sure.
Yeah,
Put Pau Victor at number 8, and then we got Westcast to Copenhagen because everybody else from there and to the first one are almost like world class signings for the clubs.
yeah. So I'll say
So we'll
Wesker to Copenhagen.
put Westcast for sure. I totally butchered his name, but just for now. Westcast at 4, no, 7. So we got
7.
6. Who would be 6? I think Sabio is a really good signing for City, but I don't know if he
Yeah,
comes in at 6. That's the thing.
I don't think he comes 6. I think Mbappe would be 6. To be honest,
Mbappe to me, you don't think he's gonna have that impactful of a season?
I think Madrid would be better off without Mbappe. I
Yeah,
mean, we've seen Mbappe's recent form. Think about his recent form because we're grilling the young kids on their recent form. You feel me?
yeah.
So I mean, it's just like let's look at his recent form. Let's look how he's been performing. How he performed in the Euros. I mean, he scored how many goals in the Euros? Was it 2 or 1?
Just one. I think it was a penalty.
And there was a penalty. I mean, and he hadn't scored any other goal in any other Euro. With granted, the other Euros don't matter in this instance. But I mean, look at his recent form. Look at how poor he played with PSG closing out the season. How
Mhm.
poor he played with France. I mean, he missed a 1v1. We all saw it. He missed a sitter. I just feel like he's very underwhelming. I think Mbappe goes 6th in my book.
I'm gonna agree with that one too. Mbappe at 6. Obviously, we're getting to a point where all these signings are still really good, but I don't see how he's gonna make such a big impact when you have so many other good players up top like Bellingham, Rodrigo, Vinicius. I think those guys are obviously more important than the likes of Mbappe up front. I don't know. I think he's a lot more. I mean, I guess we'll just see, but I think 6 is fair because it's like right in the middle, pretty much.
Yeah,
Now, Savio to City, I think we can put that one at number 5. Or what
yeah,
do you
I
think?
agree. Well,
Just
actually, Lenormand to Atleti.
Lenormand, but
Oh,
maybe
Fulkrug to West Ham. No, I think Fulkrug is more important to West Ham than yeah. Savio to City would be 5th
for
because
5th.
Fulkrug is very important for West Ham. Lenormand was very needed at Atleti.
Savio,
Olmo. I don't think Olmo was that much needed for Barcelona.
yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go Olmo too, just because they didn't need a
They
player
didn't
like
really. Yeah,
that's more of just like a luxury signing.
that's a
No,
very. If we're going midfield, I think Barcelona might have the best midfield
in Spain.
in La Liga, comparing it to quantity and quality, like how many players that are good that they have,
Mhm.
at least for now. So yeah, I'll go almost 5th.
For sure. I'm gonna agree with that one just because it's a player that Barcelona didn't really need. It's a luxury signing at the end of the day. Um, a marquee signing, if you want to call it that. Number 4, Sabio to City, because
Fabio
I
to
think
City.
Sabio had such an incredible season for Girona, one of the best players for Girona, along with Artem Dovbyk, along with Aleix Garcia. and got them to a historical run in La Liga, almost won them La Liga up until the end of the season, but qualified them to Champions League football. And I think it's going to be interesting to see him competing against the likes of Jack Grealish, Jeremy Doku, um, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden on the right wing, because I think he brings something different than these players for sure. So I'm gonna go with Savio. He brings that jogo bonito, and that's what Man
That's
City
what's
needs.
needed.
A little bit more freedom, someone that's not so strict and is able to play his game. So I like that Savio to City. Now we're looking at our top three signings. So that means we're saying that. All right, so between three, two, one, we got Fulkrug, Lenormand, and Julian Alvarez. I think,
Fulkrug takes third.
yeah,
And
I,
I
I can
think
I,
so.
I can agree with that one.
Because
Fulkrug,
at the end of the day, Lenormand is a center back,
I think he's more
so
crucial. I think for
he's more
sure,
needed.
yeah, he's more needed for.
West Ham has that back line figured out, that holding mid position figured out. The midfield is very decent with Lucas Paquetá in it. So I'd go with
Because this is honestly what they needed. They needed a killer up top because Mikael Antonio, he's not a killer. Good player, but not a killer, not a number
he
nine.
can create, pass, and he can score some wonders from outside of the box, but he's not that.
Not a
Not a
natural,
Fulkrug.
not like
Yeah.
Fulkrug, not like an actual killer like Fulkrug. So for sure, I'm gonna go Fulkrug to West Ham. It's gonna be number three, number two between Lenormand and then Julian Alvarez. I think this is a no-brainer. Lenormand to Atleti for sure has got to be number two, just because Atleti last year, a team like Atleti, you kind of every time you think about them, they are a defensive team. They're a team that prided themselves on defense. Last year, they didn't really do that well defensively. They were very leaky at the back. So to see them sign a player like Lenormand is honestly really good for them. So I like that one as second, Lenormand. And then number one, I think this is a no-brainer. Julian Alvarez to Atleti for sure is
For sure.
number one because I mean everyone was shocked first off when even Julian Alvarez was coming out in interviews saying that he wants to be more important, wants to play the important games, and everyone started throwing out things in social media saying that sounds like he wants to leave. I wonder what Pep's gonna do. Pep's gonna treat him like he did with Joao Cancelo and who was the other City player that he kind of abolished to the sidelines a little bit.
It was Joao Cancelo, and it was also
Trying
uh
to the City player.
um what's his name? Oh, Leroy Sané.
Sané? Was it
Sané.
Sané? It was somebody else though, but I don't know. Anyways, so they were in
Also,
a trade.
Sané ended up leaving Bayern Munich because it wasn't a playing issue, but it's because he said that he couldn't feel like he said that Pep had him very robotic.
Mm-mm.
So I mean, Pep really is really that coach where it's his way, or
That
he
way.
can sell you.
I like Julian Alvarez. I think that was the perfect number one, and I think I'm gonna give this list 10 out of 10. Honestly, shit.
But what a fucking statement by the contract that they give Julian Alvarez, and him rejecting a PSG contract for I think it was like 10 million biweekly.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it really shows you that he'd rather go to a country where he feels comfortable. It's because he's signing for 5 years. I mean, that's
A
5 years.
country where he feels comfortable, a team that is still highly competitive in all competitions, and he's going to be the main protagonist for sure up top. I think, like I said, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely what he wanted. Maybe it's not what City would have desired, but I mean, think about it. 2 to 3 years ago, you're saying, "Oh, he's on the bench," and he's like,
Shit,
he's
it's even a win for
21, he's 20,
uh,
he's
how
21.
much
But
how much should they buy him for? 11 million?
I think it
Something like that
was
from Everton?
11 or 9.
Yeah, it was super low, and they sold him for 10 times that, bro. 10 times that.
I
10,
mean,
11
yeah, City have definitely built themselves out on good scouting because if you look at City's transfers, they're not the most desired players, but they
Mhm.
always end up having an impact in the squad. My worry for him is because a lot of players who have played for City um end up finding it difficult, at least in the first year, to adjusting to a different play style.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, if he goes to a team similar like his, which he in this case he didn't, Gundogan is thriving at Barcelona. Leroy Sané thrived at Bayern Munich, but these are all possessive teams. This is a whole different type of sector. But It shouldn't really
I don't
change at his
I
position.
don't I don't think it would change so much for him only because Argentina have a similar play style to what Atletico Madrid play, where it's not necessarily beautiful football, possession-based football, but they have grit. They play with passion. They play with their heart, and defensively very astound. So, I mean, unlike last season, they weren't. I think they're gonna try to correct those things moving into this season, and I mean, we'll see how it goes with Julian Alvarez up top. We'll see if he can bang some goals in, but
Yeah.
now, lastly, which team do you feel like has had the best transfer window so far? I wonder if we can agree on this one or not.
Although they spent, in my eyes, I mean, they really took out the pocketbook in this transfer window, but it's got to be Atletico Madrid.
Yeah,
Solid
there. I mean,
center back, solid center forward.
Madrid is definitely up there just because they signed Mbappe, who's considered the best player in the world. Trying to think
Yeah.
of another one.
I mean, Endrick was considered the best youngster at least this season before
Mhm,
the preseason games and before Copa America. After that, it was a different story, but I mean, well, technically they signed one of the most talented center forwards in the world and one of the most talented upcoming center forwards in the world.
completely agree. So that one's for sure a big shout for number one, but I'm gonna agree with you on this one for sure. Atletico Madrid take the cake in this transfer window so far, unless we see some other crazy transfers go down in the next coming weeks. I mean, they really opened up the checkbook, bro. They splashed out this season.
I mean,
Uh,
now it's
and Alvarez, Lenormand, Conor Gallagher, who maybe isn't a world class player, but solid player, and I think a player that will fairly fit into this athletic system. Trying to think who else they've signed. I think they might have gotten one more signing. I just can't think off the top of my head right now.
now we just have to wait to see if City has a replacement for Julian Alvarez.
Yeah, for sure. Or maybe get one of the young guys the up and coming young guys.
There is this one young center forward that was in the U19, but I
Mhm.
doubt they'll bring him up. He's fairly decent though.
All right, we'll see what happens. But that wraps up everything on this transfer window saga. Thank you guys for listening to Charla Football. Make sure you guys follow, support on all platforms, Spotify, TikTok, etc. Say TikTok, huh? I meant TikTok, my bad. Follow our personal pages down below and make sure you guys support your small creators because together we're going to make it big. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.